This is a Dragon Blazer production.
Coming soon to a podcast near you.
I will not let this republic be split in two. My negotiations will not fail.
If they do, there aren't enough Jedi to protect the Republic. We're keepers of the peace, not soldiers.
You know I don't like it when you do that.
Sorry, Master. I forgot you don't like flying.
Well, you've lost him.
If you'll excuse me.
I hate it when he does that.
Anakin, don't do anything without first consulting either myself or the Council.
You don't need guidance, Anakin. I see you becoming the greatest of all Jedi.
The boy has exceptional skills.
His abilities have made him arrogant.
Excuse me. I'm in charge of security here, milady.
They are using a bounty hunter named Jango Fett to create a clone army. Wait.
We must stop them before they're ready.
Your clones are very impressive.
They'll do their job well.
Blast, that's why I hate flying.
This is a crisis. The Senate must vote the Chancellor emergency powers.
As my first act, I will create a grand army of the Republic to counter the increasing threats of the Separatists.
Hasn't been a full-scale war since the formation of the Republic.
You must join me, Obi-Wan, and together we will destroy the Sith.
The dark side clouds everything. In grave danger you are. Begun this Clone War has.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Coming Soon to a Podcast Near You. I'm your host, Stevie Blaze, and of course, as always, my co-host, Count Xavier.
Hello, I am Xavier, and this is Toto Shodoroki, as usual. We established him in the last one. He's forever with us now, because I don't know what else to do with him.
Okay. You could, not do anything. I don't know.
But that's
Sure.
not fun, man.
Is it?
I got this Todoroki plush that I got from my brother, and I don't have much else to do with it aside from record with my friend who I don't see a whole lot anymore after school got out. We're both working, so now he's a princess prop. There we go. That means
Princess
something
prop.
totally different, but whatever.
Okay. Well, we watched to review on this episode. We watched Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, continuing our Star Wars watch. And how'd you feel about this movie, son? Let's first ask, have you seen this movie? Do you remember this movie? If you have,
I've seen every single one of the movies except for Solo, and I think Solo and maybe one other movie was
Rogue One.
I've watched all three of the trilogies. This one I did remember. I remembered all the scenes, but I also remember it being one of my least favorite of the movies. After watching it like again, I definitely do appreciate it more. It seemed I remember when I was younger remembering the movie as something that felt more like a setup for episode 3. Like the original not the original, but the prequel trilogy seemed like episode 1 and episode 3 were like its main focus, and episode 2 didn't really do much of anything except for like introduce Anakin as an older person and how well in tune he is with his midichlorians. um but but yeah, after watching this movie again, I definitely do appreciate it a lot more than I remember doing it. I'm sure a lot of people still don't like this movie because it's the prequel trilogy. People hate Jar Jar, and people hate Anakin. Like, people want Anakin more as a Darth Vader prop or something like that. But
So
I
I
don't know.
I kind of went into this as the exact opposite as you because I remember really enjoying this movie when I was younger. I remember when it came out, and I think seeing Yoda really kind of was like, oh man, Yoda, look at him go. And don't get me wrong, okay? Yoda was still one of the coolest aspects of this movie, in my opinion. However, I ended up watching this movie and realizing, okay, I see why this is most people's least favorite. I have a lot to say about this movie. And most of it is how the hell did Padme Amidala fall in love with this whiny ass dictator? Like, she watches Anakin do some of the worst stuff or say the worst stuff in this movie, and she's like, I need to jump on that.
That's right, my lady.
So let's get into this movie because I have some stuff to say, and I feel bad because I love Star Wars, but this movie was not good for most of the movie, in my opinion.
Yeah, I still think I remember during our Phantom Menace podcast, and for the 2.5 people who might be confused, we're doing the whole comic book movie next week. But anyway, I remember on
that's right. Yeah, we were gonna do a comic book movie. We have decided to change the way we are doing it.
Because my wisdom score is over 20. D&D jokes. Anyway.
It's just it works better as scheduling. So we switched these two, and now next week will be the comic book movie that we do, and then the week after that we'll go back to, I think, Iron Man 3. Right? We're doing Marvel Watch.
Yep. Wait. No, we. Okay, so we went from Pinocchio to this. Then we're gonna do the comic book movie next week,
And
which
then
which would logically mean, because originally this movie was going to be next week, so then we'd have another random movie, right?
Well, no. Well, we're just switching to where this is gonna
Oh
be.
yeah. Oh, I kind of forgot.
This was your idea because
Yeah.
you come over to my house and you said, "Well, I have Disney Plus, so we should do the Marvel."
Yeah,
Marvel,
I
Disney, and all
realized
that.
I had a brain fart.
Oh my
All
gosh!
right. Anyway,
let's start
back to what I was saying. I remember in the Phantom Menace, I mentioned like why was this 14-year-old girl flaunting over a 9-year-old, and you mentioned it wasn't her who was flaunting over him. Like she didn't have any feelings for him. I kind of agreed with you back then. After watching this movie again, I stand by what I said. I don't know what this girl's deal is, but I can guarantee you during the scene where he said, I killed them, not just the men, but the women and the children too. They're animals. So I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them.
Oh my gosh, that's actually a really good interpretation, actually.
Is my my voice acting right there. I can imagine Padme was kind of like, ooh.
Yeah, that's one of the things I want to bring up. But let's get into this movie. You're jumping ahead. So the first thing I put in here is so a ship lands, and as soon as it lands, pretty much a bunch of people get blown up, which is an assassination attempt on Padme, and of course they were doing the decoy thing, and
that went over so well. Boom.
All the victims, yeah, right. All the victims
no
are
danger
just
at all.
Merely singed instead of realistically, because I mean, you saw that explosion. They were literally right there into the explosion, and no limbs are thrown apart like it should have been. They just slightly have some singe on them.
Yeah, these movies love tearing people's limbs apart, and I love it too. I think it's weird for like with series or shows or movies with like blades that are designed to cut people. Like I think it's weird for blades to cut people who have like enough resistance to take a mountain, like in Dragon Ball or something like that. But like I also find it weird when people with literal like they're human, they have human resistance, their skin is as tough as skin, and then they get in a fight, and by some miracle they leave with their whole body intact.
Yeah.
And of course there's a lot of limbs getting cut off. There's a mercenary, there's Anakin. Yeah.
Not to mention all the bugs that he just slaughters and cuts up. Anyways, so next I have so somebody is trying really hard to murder Padme Amidala, and then I put, man, those are some stealthy evil centipedes. Little poison centipedes or whatever the hell they're called that are trying to poison Padme Amidala. Like, was it Obi-Wan or Obi and Annie open the door and look in the room, and they're like, oh, let's hide. We're smart enough. Let's hide. they hid so they weren't caught. They ended up getting sliced, but still. I just found it impressive that these bugs are real stealthy.
Yeah. They only gave themselves away when they were about to murder Padme. And I find it interesting because the scene depicts that if that drone was planning to shoot Padme with lasers, she'd be dead. Because they didn't notice that drone. They noticed the centipedes, but not the drone.
Yeah.
That, and after the scene, it wasn't Anakin who jumped after the drone. It was Obi-Wan. So, even though he's like, I hate when he does that. He's I'm sure he secretly likes going in a bit wild style here.
Well, I have some thoughts on
jumping after some crap.
I have some thoughts on that too. But the next thing I put is, now this is the one thing I did like about Anakin Skywalker in this movie. Anakin was sassy as shit. he catches Obi-Wan from falling, and then he's like, well, it took you long enough. And Anakin's like, well, I was really trying to find a speeder that I like. This one had this and this. Like, his sass. I appreciate the petty sass. But then Obi-Wan talks about how he's afraid of Anakin's flying after he literally jumped out a window to hang on to a flying droid that, by all intents and purposes, would happily try to kill him. But he hates riding in a speeder with Anakin.
Yeah, that, and there's no guarantee that like the drone would have really taken him anywhere helpful. It probably would have noticed that someone's hanging on top of him and taken him like into the sky, and then like just start shaking, doing the Harlem Shake like a drone would, and then he'd probably either fall to his death or use the Force to like catch him, make sure he lands softly in midair. But like any sane person controlling that drone would not have taken that drone back to themselves. And and again, I feel like Anakin would be the one who like would just randomly jump out the window to catch that drone that just tried to murder his girlfriend.
Well, at the time they weren't girlfriend. Like this is the first time they've seen each other in 10 years.
Self-proclaimed. I'm sure she knew it too. She was like, "I've never felt the same ever since you showed up again. I fell in love with you, even though like I don't know, a few weeks prior to that conversation, they're like, you're still that little boy I knew on Tatooine." That's messed up. That's messed up. I'm just gonna say it. That ship is messed up.
I love the bit of foreshadowing with Obi-Wan saying, "Why do I fear you'll be the death of me?"
Yeah, we haven't gotten there yet. I mean,
No.
technically, this movie did come after the original trilogy, which comes after this. But the way I watched these movies, I kind of watched them in order, like the way we're doing it, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
Instead of like 4, 5, 6, then 1, 2, 3, and then 7, 8, 9. Which is how you count, by the way, in kindergarten class.
Now, at first, Padme shuts Anakin down after hearing him whine and whine. Obi-Wan just doesn't. I'm ready. I'm the most powerful Jedi, and Obi-Wan is just holding me back. Like he just whines and whines to this girl that, like, how did that work? How is that?
Probably because she's into that. I think she's into it.
She has to, but I don't. Padme is such a smart, intelligent type character that I don't understand what she sees in Anakin Skywalker. She literally sees the worst parts of him all the time. And I get that, love is about loving the good and the bad, but what good does Anakin Skywalker show Padme Amidala? Because I don't get it. But
he shows her the Force, I guess.
Next I have, oh no, someone deleted a planet from the archives. Now, this gets explained in the Clone Wars, and actually there's a little bit of confusion here. Okay? So, and I'm just going to bring this up. Later, Dooku is confused by the army, the Clone Army, and where they came from. But here's what's in the Clone Wars. You know how they mention Darth Tyrannus?
I remember them mentioning mentioning Darth Hideous, I think.
They mentioned Darth Sidious as well. They mentioned Darth Tyrannus as one of the people, along with oh man, I can't even think of his name. They mentioned Darth Tyrannus was one of the people that was there on Kamino to get these clones started. But here's the kicker. Darth Tyrannus is the Sith name for Count Dooku, which is revealed in the Clone Wars. So Darth Tyrannus, aka Count Dooku, is the one that had these clones made, but for some reason he's confused where this army came from. Now it's possible he didn't know fully what Darth Sidious's plan was and why he wanted these clones made, because obviously this is a complete plot by Emperor Palpatine, Darth Sidious. So it's possible Count Dooku didn't know everything.
Whoa, Palpatine is Darth Sidious? I think we already know at this point. Although I guess I do find it kind of strange how Yoda senses so much of the dark side within Count Dooku, but like he's like 2 meters away from Palpatine. He's like
often. and they just keep giving Emperor Palpatine more and more power in this movie. I also think that Obi-Wan should be a little bit more skeptical of a giant clone army made by someone that he doesn't even know. Like, this entire clone army is made, and he's just like, no questions, let's use them. Don't get me wrong, the clones work perfectly up until the moment they don't.
So I'm looking at Camino. Like, I looked up Camino on the internet because I remember hearing that it might either be a real life location or just a location from My Hero Academia. Because,
You realize this was made way before My Hero Academia.
I also know that My Hero Academia is supposed to take place in the real world, which has been around for a lot longer than Star Wars. You know.
Okay.
All I'm finding on Camino is the planet from Star Wars. So either it's not a very well known place, or it's just a My Hero Academia exclusive place, and Star Wars is just more well known.
Not sure why Obi-Wan needed to turn on his lightsaber just to throw a tracker on Jango's ship. He falls
cool,
down.
Man.
He falls down, comes to the door, turns on his lightsaber, and then throws a tracker. And it's like, I just need to look cool with this lightsaber. Okay. And throw a tractor. Have you got your pictures? Okay, good.
Here's a bit of a minor complaint that I don't think is series breaking at all. This movie has its good sides. It has its very wrong, horny sides. But I have a minor complaint, and it's that lightsabers don't like have this weird smoky effect in the rain, because they're like plasma bits of heat.
They kind of do. Like, if you watch the Clone Wars, they really focus on the smoke in the rain. It's a cool effect. I'm surprised they just didn't. This movie, I don't know. This movie, it was years ago. Whatever, I guess.
Yeah, well, yeah, we should really crank on the time. We should probably mention it more like towards the beginning or end, but like on the back of the case of the movie I watched was 2002, but it also said like 2000 something for the Phantom Menace, even though that you mentioned it was made in like 1997 or 1998. When was Attack of the Clones made? Like originally? Like I got a tablet. I can look this crap up.
You look this up. I'm going to continue our synopsis. So Obi-Wan starts feeling things that his mom might be in danger. He goes back to Tatooine, and Watto is acting like Annie is an old friend, and not that he was his slave. That Anakin was his slave and he was his master, and kept his mom as a slave. And he's talking like, "Oh man, Annie, it's been 10 years. Oh, maybe you can help me out with something." You were a slave owner. A slave owner. You're lucky Anakin doesn't take that lightsaber up your freaking giant ass nose.
I think that's kind of the point, though. Like he doesn't. He's like trying to sound cool, like, "Oh, Annie, how you've grown. You were so little when I last seen you. Please do not shove your lightsaber up one of my holes."
I mean, that's fair. That's fair. But slave owner.
Hi there, Floof. Sorry.
Anakin finds who Shmi was living with and married to.
Oh.
And find out that Shmi was kidnapped by Tusken Raiders. And I have to ask, what exactly was the Tusken Raiders doing with Anakin's mom? She was kidnapped by Tusken Raiders for a month. She was tied up to almost a cross. And she was just there. Now, please explain to me why they kept her alive and what were they doing with her? because there's only one thing that pops in my head.
That's dark. Okay, that is really dark, man.
Sex slave.
I was so
Sex
I
slave.
was so happy going into this podcast. I was so excited. I've been waiting like all week for this. Why? What's wrong with you? Why do you bring this crap up? Okay, so Attack of the Clones was made on May 16th, 2002. Phantom Menace. Okay, May 19th, 1999. So almost exactly 3 years apart.
But yeah, so it just, that's the thing that popped in my head. Now, I did look up. I looked up because I was legit curious why they kept her alive. And there's a couple theories on this. One of the biggest theories, and I think this makes a lot of sense, is that Emperor Palpatine made arranged for Obi-Wan, or not Obi-Wan. Emperor Palpatine arranged for the Tusken Raiders to kidnap, torture Shmi, so Anakin would find out, and then
hold up. Does that mean like, okay, so I don't know where this is going. I'm sorry I cut you off, but if you're saying Palpatine did this so that Anakin would snap and eventually turn to the dark side, holy crap. That means that he'd expect him to murder those guys. He sent Shmi after these guys to get them killed.
That's the theory, is that he worked with the Tusken Raiders. He probably had someone else go talk to him, not, him personally. But the theory that I looked online, and I think it's the best theory, is that they had her kidnapped, tortured, and killed, so Anakin would fall farther into the dark side because Palpatine senses his anger. So Palpatine grooms Anakin. That's like straight up. These two movies, Palpatine grooms Anakin Skywalker to turn to the dark side. Everything he does is about turning Anakin Skywalker to the dark side, befriending him, trying to let him get away with everything. It's all about giving Anakin power, giving him afraid, angry. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure Anakin would gladly murder the crap out of Palpatine. And I don't think it ever comes up that that's what happened, but that's the theory that I read online. And I think it's a good theory that she was, because otherwise, why did they torture her? Why did they take her? Like, I don't know much about Tusken Raiders, but to my understanding, that's not something they normally do. Anyways, so
very strange.
Padme asked Anakin what's wrong after his mom just died. Like, really, really bad timing there. It's like, what's wrong? My mom was just tortured and murdered by Tusken Raiders. But then this is when he goes on that speech you did earlier in the episode where
I hate them.
I hate them. Oh my gosh. That was hard. Okay. I'm sorry. I like Hayden Christensen, and I'm so glad he gets to redeem himself by being in the Obi-Wan TV series. And he was good, but his acting when he was young, he was good at the smarmy or like being snarky. Those parts with Obi-Wan I really enjoyed with him, but he does not do emotion well. There was I think that's bad acting.
I think that's also maybe the point. I don't know. Keep in mind, you said it yourself. Not Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan. I'll get to Obi-Wan in a second. Anakin was supposed to like be represented as a bit childish, like as Padme said, you will always be that boy I met on Tatooine. He probably still is.
Well, and then my next point is just continues what I've been complaining about this entire episode is Anakin is proving he's a tyrant after saying, I killed them all, but not just the men, the women and children too. I slaughtered them like animals. And Padme's like, oh yeah, you kill those Tuscan kids, you bad boy. Like, what
like
is wrong with your preferences?
And the zoom in on her face is like, we don't really see much emotion from her, but like, I guess the zoom is supposed to show like, oh shoot, like she's either saying, oh crap, this guy, either like this guy needs help, or I need him. I need this guy. This guy can protect me. Definitely not murder me at some point. Sorry, I'm trying not to spoil any future episodes, even though that some of the future episodes were past episodes.
I'm almost positive anybody who listens to this podcast has already seen every Star Wars.
You don't know that though.
I'm pretty confident.
Okay.
The next thing happens is Obi-Wan gets kidnapped by Count Dooku, who tries to say that, he was Jedi, that Qui-Gon would work with them. And what I found very odd is Count Dooku tells Obi-Wan the truth. He says that Darth Sidious is behind everything and that so many people are loyal to him. He doesn't tell Obi-Wan who Darth Sidious is, but being that Darth Sidious is Emperor Palpatine, he's telling him the truth. Darth Sidious does have control of a lot of things in the Senate and is doing this whole plot. Everything Count Dooku says is pretty much true.
I have two things to say as well. Like, something I probably should have mentioned in episode 1. How can you not know that this mysterious hooded Darth Sidious man is not Palpatine? They sound the same. They kind of look the same from the mouth. They talk the same ways, and there's no way
I want you to think about every single time you see Darth Sidious. Think about it. No one, none of the Jedi ever see Darth Sidious. He does everything in the background. They don't even know he exists.
Right, but like us as the audience.
Oh yeah, sure, as the audience. But the thing is you got to realize they made these movies knowing that episode 4, 5, and 6 have already happened. Everybody knows when they're watching this, for the most part, unless you started on these movies, they filmed them with the assumption that people have already seen the original trilogy and know who. So this is just them telling the origin story. So that it wasn't about making Emperor Palpatine or Darth Sidious a surprise. It's about telling the story of what happens.
And there's me, like at, I don't know, 12 or 13 years old watching episode 3 and like, what?
But you weren't the main audience. No, I'm not. That's not me being a dick. You're not the main audience. The goal was to tell the story of how Anakin got to where he was, and that includes telling the story of Darth Sidious.
Oh yeah. But before you move on, I also wanted to mention, like I said, two things. One was like, there's no anyone could not tell that Darth Sidious is Palpatine. We were just talking about that. But there's also the fact that Obi-Wan does literally everything in this movie except for like take down. Actually, he doesn't even. Count Dooku doesn't even get taken down in this movie. Like Yoda does a really cool looking fight scene, but he doesn't actually finish off Palpatine. He kind of he's kind of stopped by a pillar. Not Palpatine, but Count Dooku. But but like, holy crap!
He's a Jedi. His first goal is to protect lives, not kill the bad guy.
But then right. But then Obi-Wan does literally everything. Like Anakin's over here, like as a guardian of Padme, when in reality he's like flirting with her and trying to save his mom and then get married and whatnot. And Padme's, well, she's doing the same. Um, and then all the Jedi really only show up after doing essentially nothing, just going to this Coliseum to save Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme. And Padme, I have to say, like, it was definitely she definitely thought ahead during that Coliseum scene. I was really impressed at that.
Oh yeah, Padme is very impressive until she's thinking about Anakin Skywalker. Because my next note was essentially her saying Padme is really really bad. She tells Anakin that she loves him right before they go out there. She is really really bad at noticing red flags because Anakin flag 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 kills Tusken Raiders, talks whines about everything, wants to be the most powerful, like he craves power. Now I understand context. He craves power because he wants to save the people he loves, but he is a tyrant. He murdered children. And that's just in this movie. There's more to come.
Oh yeah. No spoilers though. Episode 3 is different than like 4, 5, and 6 because that's actually There's actually not supposed to know this, but like
I'm afraid. Currently, I'm kind of afraid to watch episode 3 because it's like my favorite one, and I'm worried that after watching episode 2, I'm like, is it though? Is it gonna still be my favorite? Like, am I still gonna like this movie?
I'm pretty sure that if you watch anything with an open mind, not saying, "Oh, there's no way this is gonna be as good as the original or the previous ones," which I'm not gonna say that's you, but that's kind of the consensus. Like every people who are watching like sequels or prequels or whatever, they're gonna be their first thoughts usually gonna be, "There's no way this is gonna be as good" or whatever. But as someone who did watch episode 3, the most I really remember is, well, the key moments. However, I still love I'm sure I'm gonna love episode 3, and whether or not I'm gonna bite those words, the fight scene throughout this entire trilogy has been amazing.
Well, I will say
episode 3 is the peak of that.
I will say that, this movie, the last 30 minutes, I would say, is the best part. You get the war starting, you get the clones coming in, you get lightsaber battles first between Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Dooku, and then Yoda versus Dooku, which was super cool. And then the scene where they're being tied up to be killed, executed. All of that was really cool. Although I will say some of the Jedi had some weird movements. Like it's like they didn't fully know how to act with these lightsabers. Jango Fett gets his head cut off, and then his son. So Jango Fett is literally in just this one movie, and most of it's them chasing him down. And then we have Padme and Anakin having their secret marriage. Okay, that part's not as cool, but like all the war scenes and the fight scenes at the end of this movie were cool.
I mean, the scene with like him having his prosthetic arm was pretty cool. I mean, although when you think about it, him getting his arm cut off was completely unnecessary in my opinion. Like, we know what happens in the third movie. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna spoil it.
I think the arm being cut off, I think, was meant to mirror that the same thing happens to Luke in episode 5.
Okay.
So during The Empire Strikes Back, Luke Skywalker has his arm cut off. And I think they wanted to mirror that. They wanted to mirror the ending to be kind of similar to Empire.
Okay, but still though, I'm sorry. Still, it was really kind of unnecessary. For one thing, um, it's probably not gonna have the same effect since unless Dooku is like his secret cousin's sister's unknown
It's not the
baby
same. It
daddy.
was just supposed to
I know,
mirror it.
but then there's also the fact that like, okay, technical difficulties. Sorry. So basically, what I was saying is that him getting his arm cut off was pretty much unnecessary because like during that chase scene with the pod and chasing down Count Dooku, um Padme fell off of the ship and into the sand. Um and of course Anakin was persuaded to stay on the ship because you're Jedis. We don't follow our love interests. For one thing, that's the Queen. For another thing, there's no way Anakin would have listened. And for another thing, this could have been a really good opportunity to get over his fear of sand.
All right.
I like to think that's the reason he didn't jump, not because of Padme, but because sand is so rough and coarse.
Fair enough.
Okay, so let's do all the outro stuff. We gotta wrap this up. Ow. Ow.
Ow, ow. Well, first off, what is your favorite scene from Star Wars? Episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
I have to say, it's either the Yoda scene or the scene with. I feel like I should have talked more about this, but the scenes with like C-3PO during the war.
Oh, yeah, those are cute.
Yeah, the puns. It's not like cat's levels of puns. It's like C-3PO was saying, "Oh, I'm so beside myself." It's like, is my head screwed on right?
Yeah, I think, I mean, honestly,
I love
don't.
C-3PO. I always love C-3PO. He's one of the best. He's definitely.
I liked snarky Anakin, but then I hated whiny Anakin. So it was like kind of really a mixed bag for me with Anakin.
Yin Yang.
Yin Yang, yeah. But like, and whiny Anakin, I don't know if I'd have as big of a problem with it if it wasn't that every time he's being whiny as shit, he is talking to Padme Amidala, and this woman falls in love with him. That's my issue with whiny Anakin. It's not that we have whiny Anakin. I'm fine with whiny Anakin. My problem is Padme Amidala looking at that and being like, not red flags.
You know, what I like to think. Okay, not this just came to me, but he could be using the Force to see what kind of guys does Padme like. I like this girl. Maybe she likes whiny freaking brats. Guess I'll act like a whiny brat. Guess I'll act like a dictator. I think she's into that too.
Right? Kill them all. Yeah. But my favorite scene was by far the reason that I think I liked Star Wars Episode 2 so much when I was younger is Yoda freaking being badass.
Oh yeah, the jumping around was pretty cool as well. He's definitely in tune with the Force.
Much to learn you have, my young Padawan. Yeah, Yoda's awesome, and they had a lot of Yoda in this movie. This may be the most Yoda so far or not so far, obviously so far, but like, yeah, there was a lot of Yoda in Episode 2. I think they realized how much people love Yoda and was like, we need more of him.
I feel like the most of Yoda we get is in the Mandalorian, and you and I know exactly why.
That is not Yoda.
it's of his race. He's kind of like
It is his race. Yes,
it's kind of like with Groot in a way. Like first you've got this old, really adored,
okay, but
powerful guy,
that is
and
not
then
the same at all. Groot, when he turns into baby Groot and teenage Groot, that's all still Groot. He just
I know.
regrew. That is not Yoda. That is Grogu. Okay.
All right.
Anyways, let's check. What was your what's your rating for Star Wars Episode 2?
I have a hard time. I have a hard time bad mouthing the early Star Wars movies but like, even if I liked this better than I did, I'm sure I would have rated this like a 2 or 3 back in the day. But I'm probably gonna give this a 5.5. I think its biggest detriment is its questionable shipping, although that's also a big detriment in the original trilogy as well. I'm still questioning what their thought process was. They might have just had it
talking about Luke and Leia being brother and sister? Well, that's because I mean the true story, besides the fact that they didn't know, the true story behind that is George Lucas didn't know. He came up with the sibling plot line after the first movie came out. So
that doesn't make it not messed up though.
It is kind of messed up, but
yeah.
you know. Anyways,
it's not that it's not like he knew that that they were gonna they're gonna kiss, but then later reveal they're sisters. It's that he made them kiss, and then later thought, it would be a great idea. Siblings. This is Space Alabama now.
He was having incestual relationships before Game of Thrones made it cool. That's even worse once you get to there. Anyways, I'm gonna give this a 5. I didn't think I was gonna go so low on any of these Star Wars movies because I love Star Wars, but if you look at this objectively,
if you think about it, five is still like an average number.
I know.
It's the middle point.
I didn't expect to go lower than a 7 on any of these, but I found out that I like Star Wars Episode 1 better than this one. I gained a bigger appreciation for Episode 1 after watching Attack of the Clones. It's like, George Lucas, don't write love stories. This is not your forte. Give us space wizards and lightsaber battles. No one the love story. It's not great.
I also gotta say, I think if I remember correctly, last 4 you did like 4 consecutive movies where you just gave them all like an 8.5.
These things happen.
I've been tallying things down so I can.
Oh, okay. What did I give Episode 1 then?
I can guarantee you you probably gave it like an 8.5, but I'm gonna check the doc anyway. Let's see. I didn't tally Pinocchio yet. It's because you only just now put it down. Phantom Menace. Oh yeah. I couldn't find the thing for Phantom Menace. I think you cut it out before we got to the Cinemantra or the ratings and stuff.
Oops.
On the YouTube.
All right.
I'll recheck it because I want to tally up all the Cinemantra stuff and all the and average all the
I think some weird stuff happened when I made the Attack of the Clones video. It's probably on the actual podcast and not the video version. I'm not sure what happened with the video for Phantom Menace. Anyway, so what's your Attack of the Clones Rotten Tomatoes score that you're guessing?
Remembering the Attack of the Clones, it's probably gonna be I can imagine it being lower because
Well, take a guess.
I'll assume for critics 60 and audience 30.
See, I'm thinking the critics gave this about I'm gonna say 35. And audience I think is maybe 40. I don't think it's really high at all. So let's take a look here. Holy crap. Attack of the Clones with the critics is certified fresh at 66%. And audience is 56%.
Okay, so you got audience of 40s and I got 30. So you got better on the audience. I guess 60 for critics. Wow. I expected that the critics would be a lot have a better score than the audience. So
I also thought that as well. Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't expect it to be fresh at all. I figured that if any of them were rotten, that would be this one. I guess people really like Star Wars, even the bad ones.
Which reminds me, once we get to Revenge of the Sith, I think is the third one. I gotta see if I can get some people in on that. I'm sure we're gonna have to wait like 6 weeks because that's kind of the consensus with each of the like Star Wars and Marvel Watch stuff like that. So gonna have to wait 6 months. It's not 6 months, 6 weeks for episode 3. Definitely. And I've mentioned this. This is one of my that's one of my favorites. Anyway, let's before we get to Cinemantra, I also want to mention they mentioned parsecs. Do you know what a parsec is? Hello. The dark side is taking over.
Parsecs are a measure of time in the Star Wars universe. I don't know exactly what the measurement is.
It's actually a measure of distance. In a similar way that people think light years measures time, it's actually measures distance. 1 parsec is equivalent to about 3.26 light years. It has something to do with like it has something to do with like this disassociation with light particles at a certain distance.
Gotcha. Yeah, I didn't know the technical stuff about that. I just know that it has to do with time or distance or whatever. I don't know. Does it say whether it's like a real word? Like, is it?
It's a real thing. It's like it's actually well known among like scientists that a gigaparsec is the biggest unit of measurement that can be measured within the universe because it's over 3 billion light years. And
so George Lucas is using real science. Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, let's do our cinemantras.
All right. You got yours ready?
Nope. Continue.
Okay. So as we enter into the cinemantra realm, yada yada yada. Okay. I'm gonna piggyback a little off of your Iron Man cinemantra, and if you had a lightsaber, would it have a gimmick? And if it did, what gimmick would it be? Also, what color would your lightsaber be? And by gimmick, I mean like Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber, Count Dooku's kind of curved handle lightsaber.
Oh yeah, the curved. I actually thought, something I forgot to bring up while we're on the subject of that awesome curved handle lightsaber. I really like Count Dooku or Christopher Lee, the actor that played him. Holy crap! It was like he was acting in a different movie. Like he is killing every scene he's in. He is just acting the shit out of it. He was
really good.
He is so good. It's like I love Star Wars, but the acting is not always we're not this isn't Oscar worthy acting. Christopher Lee as Count Dooku, Oscar acting from Christopher Lee and a Star Wars film. I mean, he was just like cool as a cucumber. He was just oh, I loved his demeanor. I I liked everything about Count Dooku. And I know as a younger person, I was like, why did they got rid of such a cool character in Darth Maul, which don't get me wrong, I still love Darth Maul. Darth Maul is super awesome. But then replaced him with this old guy. But you know what? He was so good. His acting is fantastic. I liked Count Dooku a lot. He was one of the best characters in this movie, I would say.
Yeah. I still think Obi-Wan was the star of this movie, though.
Oh yeah, Obi-Wan's great too. Ewan McGregor, love him.
He did essentially everything in this movie.
Yeah, no.
But anyway, if your lightsaber would have a gimmick and a color of your choice, what would it be?
So, first off, the lightsaber color, I would make it black light, like not purple, like Mace Windu's, but like literally what a black light looks like, where it's just a little aura of purple but black.
Yeah, I can see it.
And then every time you get in a fight, like everybody's light colors just brighten up and look cool. Whenever I bring out, it's like I turn on my lightsaber and it's time to party, like we're in the 90s. Black lights were cool in the 90s, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I wasn't alive then, but you know,
right.
Actually wasn't too conscious throughout the 2000s either. Grew up in the 2010s.
Oh, I also want to. I want to say the double bladed, but I don't know. I also really liked Anakin using two lightsabers was cool as shit.
Oh yeah.
Anakin was awesome with those two bladed or two lightsabers. So maybe that.
I kind of liked the katana one from that one like spin-off Star Wars thing. Like that samurai Jedi.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Although I wouldn't mind even as simple as Count Dooku. Count Dooku has a cool fighting stance. He's got a cool lightsaber. He's just cool. I would like to know your answer on this.
I don't know if I can get creative enough in the next, I don't know, 2 minutes I would actually care to think about. But
pick a
if
color,
I were to
man.
if I were to choose among, okay. Well, I think pink would be pretty cool.
You want a pink lightsaber?
A pink lightsaber would probably be like, ew, bubblegum, and I'd just chop their heads off for calling my lightsaber a bubblegum lightsaber. And like as for a stance, I really like the guard from Episode 7, Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
Really?
I know people don't like Kylo Ren a whole lot, but
I like Kylo Ren a lot. I'm not the. I've gotten used to his lightsaber. I'm not the biggest fan of his lightsaber, but I like Kylo Ren. I like the sequels. I like the new ones.
Yeah. Kylo Ren's lightsaber, I personally do like. I know Darth Maul's lightsaber is pretty cool, and so is Count Dooku's. I think I really like Kylo Ren's lightsaber. It's not just the fiery effect, but yeah, like the guards coming out from the sides are pretty cool too.
I don't know if I agree with you, but okay.
So yeah, pink lightsaber with guards. Actually, man, I do like the classic one, like just a regular lightsaber with pink. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. I give you. I'm gonna give you. a full on 10, man. I think you did spectacular. It didn't involve a penis, so I'll give you that.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was yours because it was pink, right? Anyways.
I mean, dildos aren't penises; they're dildos.
Anyways, my mantra is going to be simple. What would your Sith name be?
My Sith name. So you've got like Darth Sidious, Darth Vader,
Darth Tyrannus, Darth Maul.
Right. My Sith name.
You know what? I can't remember what Kylo Ren's Sith name was.
This is the second time we've referenced cats because this is kind of the same. This is kind of the same cinemantra you've given for cats. Like, what would your cat name be? I would be the drowning cat named Snickers. Maybe I should be Darth Snickers or
Snickers.
Okay. Hey Thomas, what do you? No, he's asleep. I would be. I needed inspiration. Darth White Boy? Darth.
Oh my. Oh
my. Darth Killjoy. There we go. Darth Killboy?
Well, I could be
Darth Evil Dude.
I could be Darth Faja, because I'm your father. And let's face it, I would be Darth Blaze.
Okay.
Or Blazer.
Okay, so on a serious note, how about Darth Sunrise or just Sunset? Because that feels more sinister. Darth Sunset.
That's your serious.
It doesn't sound as cool as it came out. You're making me think about something I shouldn't be thinking about in the course of like a rushed session. How about Darth Blood Moon? There we go.
Sure. All right.
What do you give me?
Two? I'm not happy about any of these options.
Darth Blood Moon.
That's a weird combo. All right, where can everybody?
I'm kind of rushed.
Do we have anything else we want to talk about this movie?
You didn't give me a number.
I said 2.
Oh, okay, 2. Okay, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. I don't think I have anything else to say. Excuse me, I'm trapped and can't get up.
What?
I think I quoted a line. It says, "Excuse me, I'm trapped and I can't get up." I'm trying to remember where that came from. I think that's a C-3PO line. I don't know.
It might be when Anakin gets his arms like slammed down in the factory thing that they were at, him and Padme, which had really bad CGI through the whole freaking thing. Like you could tell none of that was real.
Then we had like R2D2 showing his cool flying skills. That was really cool.
Sure. R2D2 flying is always cool.
So there's no danger at all. I can sense everything in that room, spoken like a true stalker. I'm sure Padme would have loved that. I'm sure that's why she slept so fine, because he said, "I can sense everything in your room. I'll sleep great tonight."
You know Anakin is groping Padme while she sleeps with the Force. Jedi sexual assault.
Can someone feel that though? Like can you? I mean, I'm sure Padme could, but could Anakin feel through the Force?
Maybe.
I mean, I guess that's kind of the point that people can. Anyway, I got why not shoot him though? I'm trying. I don't know why I didn't. I only added that. Like I said, why not shoot him though? It came between Annie is a bad driver and I can sense everything in that room. Um. Hmm. I don't. I don't remember. I did not write very good notes for this movie.
Really?
I also didn't write a whole lot, despite it being the same length as the last movie, only a little bit shorter. Oh yeah. This movie did actually have a few notable memes. I should definitely have like the meme section. The scene with Obi-Wan and the really tall alien guy over in Camino. Obi-Wan did the face. He did the
Oh yeah.
visible confusion face. Okay. Anyway, yeah, just tame and ignore Padme. That was from the. I do remember that from the Colosseum scene with Padme, like with Padme trying to fend off this ravaging beast, which she surprisingly does pretty well against.
There's also them in the flower in the fields, and normally how the meme goes is, but we're really gonna do that, right? Right, and then their
Oh
face
yeah.
looks different.
Yeah, I was waiting for that, but I was confused of why that wasn't the thing that was said
They just
or
took
anything
the
similar. I know.
Yeah.
They take scenes and like mess around with it to make it memeable, which makes sense as well. The next movie is definitely gonna have the most amount of memes. The last movie, I don't think we mentioned a whole lot of memes, but there's Anakin. But the one that comes to mind is that Anakin said, "I should try spinning. That's a cool trick." And the only thing I remember from that is a Walmart shopping cart meme with like with a with like three of them had like normal fighter pilots, and then there's just Anakin, one of them, saying, "I should try spinning. That's a cool trick." Because you know how shopping carts work at Walmart.
Right.
Okay. I think that's it. I don't even understand half the notes I put on here.
Oh, jeez. All right. Well, where can the viewers or listeners find you?
I'm Cryokeen Artist. Over in the YouTubes and the Instagrams and the Facebooks. So there's that.
All right.
I post most of my crap on Instagram, sometimes on Facebook, almost never on YouTube. I need memory space for that and computers, and I don't have that.
Well, you can find me on the Facebook, Instagram, and the YouTubes at Dragon Blazer Productions. And you can find me on TikTok as well on Dragon Blazer Productions. And on Twitter, you can find me at Dragon Blazer Pro because they wouldn't let me do Dragon Blazer Productions because it's too long. So, yeah, that's where you can find me. And auf Wiedersehen, and may the Force be with you.
Adios. I need to learn more ways to say bye.
You know, you say that every time.
Okay.
I just stick with my German. Auf Wiedersehen.
Ciao. There we go. Yes,
Ciao.
That's new. I haven't said ciao yet.
All right.
You are becoming very sleepy. You will rethink your life choices.
Are you doing this to anime or Padme? You will rethink your life choices. Anakin has all the red flags.
Yes, he didn't use any of his force trick. Maybe this whole movie is Anakin using his force tricks on Padme to make her fall in love with it. There's so many things I could. Okay, let's finish this before I go into theory overload.
When a Jedi says, "May the Force be in you," that is a red flag. Which I just imagine he said to her. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Leave.